This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Let me just stop here so I can greet you properly. How are we all today? And welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Now, of course, still very dark. I don't think it's quite sunrise yet, but in the darkness we can find lots and lots of things. So I've got my handy spotlight on and we're looking around. I am, of course, Trishala, happy to have you on board, privileged as always. Now remember to use the hashtag SafariLive to ask us any questions, and of course the YouTube chat stream for any questions and comments as well. Well, I look forward to hearing from you. I am thinking, well, obviously whatever we can see on the way as we drive about, but I'm trying to make my way to the hyena den. Maybe about 20 minutes from now, just when the sun's starting to peak up, is probably a good time to sort of see what action is happening here. Oh, there's a little scrub here. Can you see him there, BK? I've got BK on camera with me and Koli behind me. Where did you go? Ah, gone, of course. See? It's too early. The animals are like, what are you doing? It's way too early. No, they love this time of day. So I'm hoping that I could see... I was just about to say I'm looking forward to, of course, seeing a leopard. I'm always looking forward to seeing a leopard. And James says he thinks that it's about time we got a Thandi sighting. I cannot agree with you more. Tlalamba has been getting all the attention. She's definitely taken over from her uncle Hassana. But poor old Thandi has been shying away from the spotlight. Spotlight. In the last few days. So I would absolutely love to see her. But like I said, I'm going to head down to the hyena den first and see what's happening there. And then, of course, we will be looking around. And we do have the bushwalk team that'll be out just as soon as the sun comes up. And then hopefully they will help us and they can track some leopards and some lions. And then we'll be able to have some nice big cats for the show. It is windy and it is cold today. Look at what Murray said. I thought it was 22 degrees. Oh, Costa would like to know if there was any news on the little chief. None so far, Costa. All I hope is that, of course, we do have TV show today, and it is our season finale. So I think, or rather I hope, quite hopefully, I really do think that Hassana should make an appearance and show us exactly the type of showman he is, which he definitely is. And, you know, he doesn't shy away from the spotlight. So, well, I say that, but he's been gone for so many weeks now. But maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll, you know, give us a appearance at a TV show. How nice that would be to kind of bring everything together. You guys agree with me? Hassana has been on holiday for too long. I agree. I mean, I can't remember the last time I went on a birthday bash that lasted 2 weeks. But that would be lovely. Oh, we did have more rain last night. And even this morning when I woke up, I just thought I could, it's raining a lot. Mrs. Lapwing, I can't agree with you more. He better show up. Otherwise, he's not going to get paid, is he? I'd hate to see an irate Hassana. Hasn't been paid for his appearances in the TV shows, you know. What do you suppose he'd like to get paid in? I think he'd like to get paid in bits of impala. Probably a good deal for him. But then how do we pay the impala that we got to pay Hosanna with, you know? Yeah, I think so. Things are quiet. I've seen a few kind of glowing eyes every now and then, but then when I have a closer look, I see they're actually just moths. Sherry would like to know if the TV show will be back next season. Yes, it will. The second season of the TV show will start on the 7th of April. After we close tonight for the first season. So that's pretty exciting. It means that, well, I find it quite exciting because it means that lots of more South Africans are kind of watching us and encouraging us and supporting us. And are interested in learning about the bush that's around us. I think that's quite nice. Oh, see, are there some eyes? Are there some eyes? Nope. Just little bits of rain that have fallen on the trees at the moment. Oh, I had a wonderful cup of coffee this morning. I woke up in the darkness, of course. Didn't hear too much. Normally we can hear lions in the background. I didn't hear any lions last night, or at least not early this morning, but last night when we came back from TV show rehearsal, I'd heard some lions, and I did see the male out there by Impala Plains area, which is in the western side of the reserve. A lot of you are saying congratulations for the TV show. Thank you all so much. We really do appreciate that. I think it is quite a nice, it's a nice achievement. I know my family was pretty happy. My grandmother finally sort of understood what on earth it is that I'm doing out here in the bush. She really could hardly understand. She even asked me, but there's no lights there on the road. How are you driving? I said, no, Ma, it's okay. I've always been a bit of a black sheep in my family. Ooh, it is so windy. I couldn't hear that name properly. Was it a dream? A green? I was asked what my favorite animal is. I get asked that so often, but the thing is, a dream, there we go. I get asked that so often, and the thing is, it's really hard to pick a favorite animal. It truly is. But if I had to choose, no, I couldn't choose. I love all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small. Yes, I do. I love them all. So we are almost at the den. Maybe we'll have a quick look. Hopefully they'll be around. Let's have a small listen just while we're here. Maverick says it's good to see water in the road. Isn't it just? It's nice that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of mud and things like that, and sometimes you kind of skid your tires, which is not ideal, but it's so nice to see that all the watering holes have been filled up. You have little patches of water all along. Yesterday we saw a millipede coming down to drink. Very cool. You don't often think of them as coming down to a little pan to drink, but that's what happens when there's a lot of rain. You get little kind of intermittent depressions in the ground that get filled with water, so animals get to have sort of more availability of water. They don't have to travel a long distance from here to here to get to the water. So the rain may be uncomfortable for us, especially when it's kind of gushing down, but for the animals, it's absolutely perfect. Now, guys, I'm just going to be quiet for 20 seconds and let's just have a listen. I wonder if you can hear the rustlings of the tops of the trees. Well, it is windy, like I said. There are a few frogs going. I heard a bubbling casino going. Oh, it's so hard to make that noise. When I hear it again, I will point it out to you. There he is. He goes, bloop, bloop, bloop. It sounds exactly like that, like sort of bubbling. Very cool. Like I was saying, it's windy, so a lot of animals, excuse me, will, actually find a place to huddle together. That's like, I'm talking about prey species. They'll try to huddle together because the wind means that they can't hear as well. And if they can't hear as well, they're more vulnerable to predation. So they try to stay together, more eyes, more ears. Oh, I see a pair of eyes. I think the hyenas are home. Yay. Yay, hey. How's it going this morning? I love it. As soon as I come along, I see her jump and run away. But she looked like she was already thinking of... Here you go. Oh, off you walk. What's that? Pickle green. How often is it that South Africans don't actually go on safari? She's actually going to come through that spot there. So I'm hoping... Oh, there you are. Actually, that might not be one of the girls. I don't think that's one of the girls. Well, we can have a better look in a moment. You asked how often do South Africans not go on safari, or rather not have the opportunity to go on safari. It's quite a common thing because South Africa is very much a mixed bag. You get a lot of people who live in extreme poverty, and then you get a lot of people who are very, very wealthy, and then there's that large bracket in between as well. And that you'll find that most people's priority it's not really going on safari. And I think that also comes from being spoiled. You know that you're in this place where the animals live. So there's this assumption that, oh, it's always around me. And we don't actually take the opportunity to go on safari and see these things. But that's why the TV show is so incredible, because it means that more people can be drawn into it. More people can be drawn into conservation and understanding these animals. So that's one of the really, really cool things about having a TV show, especially here in South Africa, where it means that we can help animals and people to understand them. Where are you? Ah, let me turn around. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn around so we can face the opening. And as you guys know, in South Africa, like I said, it is a mixed bag of socioeconomic brackets. It's also a mixed bag of races. And we have a lot of different cultures and races that live in South Africa. For example, I'm Indian, but I'm South African, which is quite an odd thing for most people to understand, especially if you're not from South Africa. But So my ancestors came to South Africa about 110 years ago or 105 years ago as sugarcane workers, indentured laborers, and they stayed. And then we all just lived in South Africa. So I'm a 4th generation South African, even though we are still look completely Indian, and we still have a lot of the cultural, retain a lot of the cultural practices and traditions, and most Indians are still Hindu. So there's a lot of things that are a kind of a melting pot of cultures and traditions in South Africa. And like you know, we have 11 official languages, and that will tell you enough about how many different types of little sects we get in South Africa. So it's always nice to kind of tie that all in, because no matter our differences, we're all still born in the country and we all still want to appreciate its beauty. Again, such a nice thing for the TV show, because we get to really express that. All right, Den's in front of us. Nothing is happening at the moment here. Darko, do we have bush cricket? Well, I play bush cricket in the car park of the camp. Definitely, I love cricket. I love sport in general. But believe it or not, we actually have cricket pitches that we usually play on. Oh, sorry, I thought you meant cricket as in cricket. But no, you meant bush crickets as in the insect. Yes, we do get lots and lots and lots of crickets. You might be able to hear some if we're lucky. I'm just... Yes, of course. Being Indian, I did make the link of playing cricket. But hey, I love my sport. I really do. What? You were speaking about actual crickets, the ones that chirp. And yes, we do have them. We actually had one sitting on here just before we started drive, and I didn't actually get to ID him properly. Very cool looking one. And then, of course, as soon as I got closer, jumped onto the spotlight, jumped behind there, and then he was gone. But that is just how the insects are. So I'm looking at the second hole entrance, and I still see nothing. Now I have Goli at the back with me, so I have an extra pair of eyes besides BK. So if there's no content, you know who to blame. Costa would like to know if I've ever been on safari in India. No, Costa, I haven't actually ever been to India. It's one of the things I really want to do. And I was thinking my parents want to go this year. And I think maybe it'll be nice if I could meet them there and have a visit. It's always nice to see exactly the type of kind of culture you only know a little about, because a lot of it gets lost along the way. But I think that would be really nice to see Asian animals. We're so used to seeing African animals, and I feel fairly comfortable with them. But I'd love to see some Asian animals, definitely. And of course it has beautiful architecture that I'd love to see as well. Jonathan would like to know what the strangest animal interaction I've seen was. What a question. Well, yesterday, when I was sitting with the Avoca male, the mohawked one, he's the hole in the head. Like I said, we like to use descriptive names so then we know exactly who they are. So I was sitting with him, and he was lying flat in the grass, and a massive elephant bull in must came walking by, and it was in total darkness. Davi and I were sitting there preparing for TV show, and we were sitting in total darkness, because when we have this light here on behind me, we get lots of stink bugs attracted to it, so we put it off if we're not on air, so we don't have to deal with the stink bugs. And I could smell this musty smell coming along, and then we see this big bull kind of doom, 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 very majestic, impressive creature walk by, and he walks straight past the Avoca male, at which point the Avoca male simply lifted up his head, had this look on his face like, oh snap, and then laid back down like, please don't see me, please don't see me. And the Ellie bull gave him one look and kept on walking. I thought that was odd. I thought something would transpire there, but maybe both were so over the whole day and were tired, they decided, no, please just let me head home, and Avoca male decided, please just let me sleep. You'll find that all animal interactions, you know, between carnivores and herbivores, or what you would normally associate with animals, excuse me, not getting on, is only really applicable when an animal is hungry or an animal needs to be defensive or is territorial. If each animal doesn't really require anything and the other one is not stepping kind of out of line or over the line when it comes to territory, there is really no reason for them to have a negative interaction, which is very nice to see. It really is. I see the sun is peeking out slightly. I'm going to try and get to a better viewpoint and we can maybe watch the sunrise together. Maybe hear some lions. Now I know that when we left last night, the male lion was still there on the western edges, and then the incahumas were still down south, a little where I am now, but further down that way. But in the night they would have almost definitely moved. In the day it's kind of a short thing. The lions are lying around that you kind of know they're probably going to stay there, especially if the sun comes out. And yesterday, though it was the same type of weather like this, the sun did eventually come out around 4 or 5, and it got super hot. And then I thought to myself, oh, why am I wearing so many layers? Because you know me, I get really cold. I love it when it's hot, but then I had too many layers on and it was too hot, and luckily I knew myself better than to change. So he kind of stayed put the whole day in the sun. Charmed chaos. What are the best animals, kind of elusive animals, I guess, that I could find at this time of the day? Genets, very cool. The other day I saw 3 in a tree together, which is quite odd. You don't often see that. And then, oh, bush babies. Bush babies are very, very cool. Should we check if we can... I'd love if we found one. And then we also know that chameleons are also a nice one to spot. The chameleon we get here is the flap-neck chameleon, which is actually diurnal, but they wrap themselves around a branch and kind of just sleep there, we could say. So they're easy to spot, or easier to spot in the night. Then, of course, aardvark, pangolin, if we're super, super lucky. But that would be crazy. What do you guys think you'd like to see today? I have never had the privilege of seeing a pangolin. I think they've only been put on camera for SafariLive twice, I think. Which just tells you kind of the rarity of it. they look so almost out of place, which actually makes me feel sorry for them. In the same way that kind of I see a rhino and they look really, really prehistoric, and I don't know, I feel sad for them in a way. I suppose also because their populations are so low, I feel like they're lonely. We have some fresh elephant dung on the road, though not fresh enough for me to smell it. Eyes, eyes. So what I'm looking for... is, of course, the eyes that are going to be shining. And then what actually does that is the reflective kind of section in the eye, the tapetum lucidum. And what that is a reflective membrane inside of the eye that gives all these kind of nocturnal creatures this wonderful ability to collect more light, or the opportunity to collect more light. So that membrane will reflect the light that's normally coming into the eye back into the eye for re-analysis almost. Much better image than we would at night, where we just have the light entering into our eyes. Mix that. Ooh. See, this is what happens when the roads get eroded away. Let's try this again. Guys, yeah, pulled the Tristan and fell out of the car. That would have at least been your entertainment for the day. And we are slightly stuck. Let's... There we go. Oh, so what happens? I didn't fall out the car, and I'm glad I didn't lose cameraman or Koli at this point. Oh, I wish I could actually show you where it is, but I wouldn't dare go back. Yo, if I fall back in there. So what happens is all the erosion in front here. Maybe there's a better example. A balsa kind of looks like a speed bump, and the mitre drain is what flows out of it. So you can see around here the water kind of makes little ridges. Can you see that? And that's obviously from the flow of the sand in that pulls down. Oh, excuse me. And then when you drive over it, all of that is actually loose and not secure at all. So the minute you put the pressure of the car and the weight of the car onto it, what you thought was solid, the walls of that actually fall away, and before you know it, you haven't fallen into a hole, you've made a hole. Which is, well, that was my first time. I'm glad I could share that experience with you all. But we made it. We made it alive. Let's see what's growing in this dung in front of us. Or am I seeing things? Why aren't you? Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get out of another bit of erosion I actually might stay in low. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I didn't quite get that. I know somebody asked who I support in cricket. So sorry to those of you who will offend, but I do support South Africa. Ex-Ranger, I 100% support South Africa. I always have. I grew up in Australia for about 8 years of my life, so I also support Australia. And when Australia and South Africa play, it's sort of like watching two children of mine play, and it's almost hard to watch. But so South Africa is my number one, especially when it comes to cricket. My number one sport is still tennis. And I didn't want to go up into the damn wall because we may have problems with the rain and the erosion again. So I'm just going to come down here and see what I can... Actually, that's a bit of platform up here. Maybe we'll see something nice. Or maybe all the animals are just run back into their burrows, all laughing at me falling into a hole I made. So here we are at Twin Dams, which is basically the watering hole that is so this reserve is, this watering hole is in the south, so sort of central south of the reserve. Koli always says this: animals don't come here because they don't actually know there can be water here, because most of the time in the summer, it's in the winter and there's no rains, it's completely dry. But it's nice to see kind of the water on the surface there moving, bit of movement. Always when it's stagnant, you get lots of build-up of all sorts of things. Whereas here you've got some nice movement. Looks so fresh, almost makes you want to jump in. Except that I had that Nile monitor here yesterday. Give you a small nip. We are just discussing whether we should go into color or not, and BK says it's still a bit dark. Just give us a moment, but we will try in a few minutes. Ali asks if I have had any encounters with Hukumure lately. No, I haven't. The last time was at the hyena den, I think, with Steve, and then I think he might have been seen one more time after that, but I haven't had any encounters with him. No, I'd love to see him. I think he sounds also really like to see Anderson. Apparently he's quite a big boy. So if you're hearing my car in high revs, it's because I've decided to stay in low range just so that we can get through any more issues. Are we in color? Oh, we will be in color soon. I was going to say, I didn't think I was so green. Ah, there we go. Welcome to color, everybody. It's the 21st century and we are in color. Hello, anybody around? Can you see we have Thank you for your compassion, everybody. Getting stuck in the mud is definitely not ideal, and especially when you half fall out of the car but you manage to hold on. Not ideal at all. But here, I wanted to show you this because we're so used to seeing elephant dung sort of with the fibrous materials of the barks and grasses that are kind of left behind. But now you see that it's full of marula fruit. Mostly undigested. And if you've ever had a marula, maybe if I find one on the ground, then I can show it to you. It's got a very big seed, but very, very refreshing. I've been eating them non-stop the last few days. Now, look at my luck. I have been wanting to find you this plant for 2 days now, and I've had no luck. And I've happened to find it. BK, may I ask you to please come over here to this plant right here? Just this one. With the curly leaves. There we go. Now how pretty is that? That is called a Bushman's poison bulb. And I have been looking for it for a while because yesterday I told you that it was the anniversary of King Tut's tomb being open, and we spoke about mummies and all sorts of things, and I told you that I recently learned that the Bushmen of South Africa used to mummify their dead. And what they used to do is actually use this plant, or the bulb of this plant, to do so. It's kind of got a bulb that looks a bit like, I don't know, like a ginger slash yam kind of thing, and it's got these outer scales to the bulb, and they used to actually wrap their dead in this bulb to embalm them, which I think is really, really cool. And that example of that Khoisan mummy is 2,000 years old, found in the Eastern Cape. And I never knew that they used to actually do that before. Traditionally, it's thought to be enormously powerful in all sorts of ways. And they used to wrap the dead. They used to wrap their dead in this plant because they thought that it was sort of a gateway to the afterlife. And it is a Bushman's bulb. Oh, and I have a hair in my mouth. Lovely. It's this wind, I tell you. The wind. It does have a strange botanical name. It's Buponi disticha. It is very, very poisonous, though. But I suppose that is the way it goes. You know, with plants that are poisonous, it seems to be the ones that hold the most power, traditionally. And this particular one apparently can make you hallucinate. And there's a fine line between deriving a concoction to make a patient hallucinate or anything like that and actually killing them. So not one to be messed with at all. It can also be taken as a painkiller in very, very weak doses. But I don't know if I'd take my chances there. So there you go. Bushman's bulb. I always find plants really, really interesting. Plants and insects, like I've said to you before, I do like the smaller things. They all tie in together really, really well. Actually, so glad that I got to show you that. You know, when you have something that you really, really want to say or want to show, and then all of a sudden, oh, you can't find it, and you get so disheartened. I got Yay! It's out, which means they can help us, they can track and do all sorts of things. So let's like to say good morning to you all.
A very, very good morning, and most of all, welcome to the beginning of the guided walk this morning. I am Sydney Apumurani Mikosi, and I'm just coming from my very nice bush here in order to be with you this morning, and hopefully you're all going to be enjoying this guided walk. And for in case if you need our attention, I am with Senzo here. You can talk to us through hashtag SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. I will be looking for the tiny little stuff this morning, and big animals are going to serve as a bonus. Already I have picked up some noise coming from this side, showing us that there is some elephants here in the area. I don't think these elephants are very far. And yesterday, on my way back, on the very same direction, I was lucky with the wild dogs. So the wind is on my favor at the moment, as it's blowing from the eastern side towards the western side, which is very safe for us to approach animals who will be on that other side. So I am now passing by the quarantine area. It looks different. If you can check here now, you can see that the bush is green and the grass is growing. Earlier last year, this area was completely dry. But now, because of heavy rains and quite a lot of interaction between the soil and the insects, everything is coming back. Love three dogs. That is what I am trying to get hold of at the moment, as I haven't seen the dung beetles for quite a long time. So the challenge is, with regards to the insects, is that it is cold at the moment, and some of the insects, when it's very cold, they can become inactive. So we might see some of those insects who are not worried about this kind of cold weathers, but I know some of them, their activities can be minimal when it is much more cold like this. So I've got a little hole here at the moment. I'm not too sure who is staying in here. Nana, I will try by all means to get you see quite a lot of these interesting animals this morning. So the only interesting part is when the weather is like this, the trekking activities, trekking signs is much better. So I have got some tunnels here at the moment, so I want to show you the difference these kind of tunnels are doing to the environment. So if you can check here, this area, it was not like this before. It was much more like this. So when the area is open like this, it helps the soil in this area in order to absorb water when it's raining. So this type of soil we are having here is called a sandy soil. And if you can check, the sandy soil has got a greater pore space. pore space, I'm talking about the space within the soil for water penetration. So it means when the insects are drilling here, again, they extend the tunnels, they extend the spaces within the soil for water penetration. So that is why here where we are walking, I cannot see the potholes here because all the water is infiltrating the ground, which is very important. So I haven't seen any insect yet here, nor the millipedes, as I am hoping to see the millipedes. I know when the weather is like this, as well as the snails, they are much more active. So I'm just going to visit one of the termites here. So I'm not going to climb on top of Child of the Universe. This button here on my shirt, it is a pride for all the guides. So if you are a guide and you have been to the guiding qualification course, after that, you have got to submit your qualifications to the Provincial Economic Development. It is a department which is dealing with the guides, headed by the Provincial Registrar. After that, they will issue you with a guide license punctuated with this badge. This badge, it is a pride. It is a sign that I have graduated and I am a legal and complying guide. So when coming to South Africa, going on tours, this is very important. You must check if the guide is having this kind of a badge. If he doesn't have, you must have to ask why. Not easy to see the tracks here where we are, so I'm going to be doing my trekking much more towards the eastern side. Laramo, the termite mounds are very much wet. Yes, can be a very good area in order to detect the leopard tracks, but so far I haven't picked up any. I'm just trying to sniff this. This is the wild anise. This is one of those plants we are using in order to treat flu. If you take a plant like this when it's still very much fresh and then you boil it and you steam yourself, you take a blanket and steam yourself, it smells like Vicks. This is going to chase the flu. Traditionally, from while I was growing, this is what we were using in order to treat the flu. So it works very well. Also, when it comes to sinus, you can use this in order to unblock the nose. It works very well. Some other people, they take this and use ingredients of other things such as the stony, the cold drink. If you take this and the stony and the eucalyptus, the leaves from the eucalyptus, and then you boil them. So normally we used to do this from a clay pot. You take a clay pot and then we take the soil as well. We have to mix that soil with water and we come and seal the side of the clay pot and put a cap to make sure that no evaporation is going to take place. So this is going to boil inside. Sometimes we can even put lemon and mix with lemon. This is going to boil inside, and after some time is when we're going to open and steam you, and that is going to chase away the flu. So here I have got some of the marulas. Janet, the snails, they can grow very much big, as we've got the giant snails which can be very big, and hopefully I will show you they can grow up to this size. They've got a kind of a very big shell, and it is a spiral shell. Normally it is arranged on a clockwise direction. So here, there's something I found here, and my apologies, I've just disturbed, but I can see they're still very much stable. If you can check here, you will see there's quite a lot of ants who are feeding on this marula. So this is coming from the elephant dung. So these kind of insects, the ants, what I want to show you here is that they don't really eat solids. Look at what they're doing there. You can see they're taking all this flesh, and I'm sure they're taking this flesh somewhere nearby. So, but now, while waiting to carry on these ants, let's cross over to Trishal and hear what she's having at the moment.
Yep, marula fruit have a really unique way of sort of ripening, so it doesn't surprise me at all that the ants would be all over it, especially if it's come from the dung. They have an awesome adaptation where, in order to account for the fact that elephants push the trees down to get to the fruits, the trees have kind of developed this way of dropping the fruit early, so they actually ripen on the ground, and then when they're in the digestive system of the elephants, they ripen really well and much better than they do when they're just sort of sitting on the ground. So, and they would be super sweet. If you've seen the color of them when they come out in the dung, like I showed you earlier, and like you would have seen with Sydney, you would see that they're very, very yellow, and they're getting sweeter and sweeter, and the ants would be all over that. So I have decided that I will be going around to the western side, and then I will see if the Avoca male is still sort of there on that side. I think that's a good plan. Although if he is there, it might mean that he hasn't eaten last night. Some red-billed oxpeckers. I call them vampires. They will actually pick at your skin and draw blood. Not at my skin, but I have seen it on a documentary, the way they can do that. Let's actually go down this way, since we haven't done this side yet. To the lion. I haven't heard any roars either. Last night when we were sitting with the Avoca male, he looked so sad. He was roaring, and then he kind of put his head on the ground, but continued to roar, and loud, really, really loudly. Like my feet that are on the, I was stationed at the moment, so my feet was not on the pedals. It was on the ground, just in front of the pedals. It was actually vibrating. It felt so awesome. So hopefully he's around, and I know the Nkuhumas were near him. And he was calling, but they didn't seem to come. But Steve was with them, and he said that they reacted to it. They were pacing up and down reacted to his call, but didn't really move or come to say hi to him, which is a bit sad. No way he kind of flopped down and gave a half-hearted Very cute. Okay, so we are cutting now from central parts of the reserve all the way to the west. Still fairly overcast, but you can see that it's sort of brightening up there ahead of us, clearing a little bit which I'm thankful for. So maybe we don't have to have the rain covers and the poles on there. You just saw the rain cover in that shot. Won't have to have them on the whole day. Oh, let's stop and say hello to this impala. Hello, boy. You taking advantage of the nice green shoots that would have come up after the rains? Love when they scratch each other. It's amazing how this tail can give away so much. Most animals' tails give away so much. They can communicate emotions, communicate their sort of comfortability. And I love that they wag. I mean, even impala's tail wags occasionally. And I know it's not the I'm so happy wag. It's more like a get the flies away from my behind wag. But I still find it, I like tails. They're very, very cute. And like with the leopard, tail can communicate a lot of things about the way the leopard feels. If it's irritable, if it's playful, comfortable, all those things. Oh, you are an itchy, itchy boy. He's definitely feeling very itchy. Sarah says, where are his girls? Well, he is a lone bachelor at this point, but he's probably part of a larger bachelor herd that is probably not very far away. But he won't be too much with the females at the moment because the females would have bred already and they're with their youngsters, and at this point he would probably not associate with them too much. Most of the youngsters are a couple months old now, and they are, his part that he played is no longer necessary, so he can go back to the bachelor lifestyle. We can see the sun sort of peeking through there. Well, there's a bit of light peeking through just on the far ends there. Always welcome. And you can hear orange-breasted bushshrike. Coffee, tea, and me. Coffee, tea, and me. You can see that it's rustling about all of the leaves and the tops of the trees. Still beautiful, though. How wonderful if we just saw a leopard lying in there. Anyway, speaking of how we were speaking of marula and elephant dung, let us go over to Sydney, who's got more of it for you.
So the impalas don't eat the marulas. Now you can see the party is again going on. You can see that here, those ants are still feeding. So I want to show you something very interesting here. So this is always my question. The ants, every time you will see them on a convoy, and you will see them collecting the hard material of food, bringing them back to the nest. Is it because the ants has got quite a lot of care to the others at the nest, or is because they've got to bring this food back for processing in the colony? Because, you know, the ants, they cannot be able to digest the solids. If you look at the ants, when they're still very young at a larva stage, they look completely different from what we are seeing now. What we are seeing now is the head, and you will see the thin waist and the stomach after the waist. But when they are at a larva stage, it's just like a worm. It looks like a maggot. So that worm in the colony is the one which eats the solids. and suddenly secrete the fluid, which is then eaten by these adults. So the adults, they must have to bring the food back every time for processing. Yes, ants has got two types of stomach. They've got a stomach for them to eat and a stomach for them to bring to those who are in the nest, who are carrying on with their responsibility. That is the part which confirms that they do have a lot of care. But when it comes to solids, they don't have a choice. Unfortunately, they cannot be able to process the solid in the stomach. So I'm not going to disturb these ones. I'm going to put them back. And there's something I found here. I found one of the marulas which is not open yet. So this is what I'm going to eat. So it will be my first marula which is coming through the digestive passage of an elephant. This is going to be nice, I hope. This is very nice. Although I can feel that it was digested by the time when the fruit was not ready, but now I can see that because of staying much longer in there, it has got quite a lot of water. So you can see now I don't think this marula is going to make me drunk. And last night I did make some amarula beer, so we're going to test it and maybe tomorrow, after tomorrow. So this is interesting. We can see I'm becoming a beneficiary when it comes to the elephants, because the elephants digested this and now it's ready for me to eat. First time I'm eating something that came through the body of the big animal, the elephant. I know if I ask the elders, I come from Venda originally. If I call the elders and ask them, I ate the marula fruit which came through the elephant passage, they will tell me the benefits. There might be a traditional benefit on it. So here there is some other, the marula seeds. I can see it's quite a lot of them. It's a big collection here. It was also brought by the elephant. So now, if you look here, what I'm eating here now, I'm just going to take it out. So I want to show you this. This is what I've just got that side. This is the one that I ate now. So this is going to look like this afterwards, because the seed inside, if you crack this kernel, you are going to find some flesh inside. And some of these seeds, they've got two eyes. It's like they've got two sockets. Some have got three. Inside here, there is a very nice flesh that we normally use when we are cooking some of the vegetables. There's a vegetable called morogo. We take these inner parts and then mix it with these vegetables as we are cooking. So you can see some of the people, they even use this to make some oils. But it's so very nice. So when I grew up, during the marula season, all the elders of the village, those who are doing the traditional beer, must take all these seed kernels and bring them to the chiefs and the kings and the headmen. And there will be a day where all these elders will come and crack these seeds and give to the leaders as traditional gifts. So the devil thorn is just everywhere. So the devil thorn is this one here. Yeah, this is a very nice devil thorn seed. You see, this is the devil thorn. So if you look at the seeds, it has got the two very nice sharp thorns which are pointing up. And some of them, you will see them with three. So this is a seed. When it's dry, it's going to turn brown. So it does have very beautiful flowers. Look at these other parts here. The flowers are still, you can see So it's flowering at the moment. So look at this flower. This is quite a very beautiful flower. So I'm sure this flower attracts quite a lot of insects to come for pollination. So the devil thorn is the one where people are using in order to make some soap. So now let's cross over to my other friend.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We have found some impala just up here. Good morning. My name is Steve, joined by David on camera, and we've just got a call on the radio that there are wild dogs in the south. So excuse us if we suddenly start driving a little bit quicker. Don't forget, this is 100% live. We're interactive. Would like to hear from you. Hashtag SafariLive. Hello, impalas. Sorry we're driving through. Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing this morning? It is a lovely day here. It was raining all night long. I thought it was going to be very wet this morning, but it seemingly have a beautiful sky coming above. We do unfortunately still have the roof on due to the potential rain looming, but it is really turning out to be a lovely day, although a little bit windy. Do hold on though, everybody. When wild dogs are moving, it's generally a good idea to hold firmly on and seatbelt yourself into the vehicle. They're on the southern boundary by the Mawati and Gowrie Main, so don't know where they are now, but they might come in. It's good to get ourselves in the right position so that if they do come, well, we can show them moving. Did Sydney really just eat a marula out of an elephant dung? Wow, I don't know, that's just I've poked a few of those fruits with the stick, and they do have quite a pungent sort of smell to them. I know Sydney was making some marula beer last night. I've made some a few days ago. It's slowly brewing, but Sidders doesn't like his to brew too much. He likes to drink it. He says he's going to drink it today after it's just kind of turned into a nice sort of slightly fermented juice, whereas mine has already got sort of the SCOBY on top of it, about this sort of thick. It's going to be lovely in a few days. Lots of sugar in the marula fruits. Yay. So I do hear that there are some tracks of a leopard in the east. Someone is saying it possibly might be quarantined. So let's keep our eyes or ears open to that. And if these wild dogs do not materialize, well, I do believe we have access to Torchwood this morning. So if we can find some good signal there, or maybe we wait for Rexon to find quarantine. I haven't seen him. I believe he is an amazing creature. I'd love to see quarantine. New leopards all the time are awesome. But anyway, hold on everybody. We're going to be coming right back to you shortly with an update about some wild dogs. In the meantime, let's go back over to Trish.
Yay, Steve is out. I'm glad, and he's heading towards what he thought he heard of wild dogs. So I'm glad that we might be able to see that today. But I am heading to where I left the lion yesterday, and I'm going to find out whether he's still there. I do hope he's here. Oh, he's there just because we would love to see him, but then I also would like him to have moved and maybe gotten a meal. So feeling a bit mixed, but of course we'll just go past and check anyway. I feel like it's gotten colder. Maybe it's just because I've been trying to get there quickly and the wind is extra today, or as I'm driving through quite quickly. Even Cody's put his jacket on. That's when you know it's cold. Joanne would like to know, if I come across a sick animal, can anyone come and help? In general, the the stance that we take is no interference. But like I've said before, they're so hardy animals, we won't really know when the time, when medical intervention has to be made, or when the animal is truly sick. I mean, you've seen the Mangeni males, and the one that's with the Incahomas at the moment. You can see that, oh, there's a time where he looked so dire, really, really bad. But then he got up out of it just naturally, just by having the pride around and lowering the stress. He was able to recover quite well, I think. So sometimes it's hard to kind of determine when is the time to intervene and when is the time to let it happen. So in general, we try to keep it as letting nature take its course, and us kind of just standing back and being observers. Now he was left somewhere around here, and I can get to the exact spot. Eyes peeled. It's definitely around here. Heard a few birds shouting, but nothing too alarming. Lots of elephant dung around. Lots of elephant dung around, but I haven't seen any elephants. They can move actually very fast. You'd think that they're these slow, big creatures, but they're actually not. They're, rather they're not slow. They can move quite fast and quite silently because of their big pads on their feet. Now look here and see how many of these little, sorry about that pole there, but there's lots of little bits of watering spaces for the animals, which I think is really nice about the rain. So many animals, like especially terrapins and things like that, they now get the opportunity to come out and go into other areas. They can go from one pool to the next pool to the next pool. It's also nice for snails, because snails will normally just hide away when it's dry and hot, because they need moisture in their skins. So it's also a good relief for them. Now you, Impala, look pretty relaxed, and that is telling me that maybe the lion is not around. Either that, or you haven't even noticed him yet. Hey boys, do you know where the lions are? No? Okay. Look at them. Okay, now he was basically around here, so I'm gonna have a good look, and in the meantime let's go to Sydney and see what he's got for you.
I have got a very dry dropping here. This is showing that it's from the buffalo, but now it's wet because it was raining. But what I want to tell you here is that the droppings sometimes can give you a clue when it comes to the season it was deposited. So it looks very much dry, and obviously this was left behind before the dung beetle came back. So now that the dung beetles are around, the droppings are being destroyed. So this is telling you that the dung beetles were not around by the time the buffaloes left these droppings on the ground, as it is their major responsibility, the dung beetle, to destroy this kind of droppings. Oh, you can hear now the woodland kingfisher is also giving us some noise that side. So it's just happening here. It's not very far away where it's calling from. Oh, there's some termites in here. So I can see there's some termites. It's dark, it's very dark, but some activities are taking place. So this is one of the termite mounds, but the nest I can see is deep on the ground. So it's open here on top. Normally when it's open like this, they are doing some construction work. So the workers by the termites, they are having quite a huge responsibility, because they don't only build these termite mounds. They build the termite mounds, and they're also responsible in order to feed the other termites in the colonies. The termites, such as the soldiers, specifically the old soldiers, because of having the large mandibles which helps them to fight, the workers must have to bring supply, because the workers, if they don't bring food to the soldiers, when the soldiers are biting, every time they bite, they lose a lot of energy. So they need these kind of workers to bring the food every time, because when they're biting, they will bite, and then they are going to lose energy all the time. So the workers must be on standby, watching out and bringing food, supplying food, so that these soldiers can be able to fight much longer. So it's quite a very interesting combination. Still, I have not yet found any dung beetle. The dung beetles are hiding this morning. Rosinda, you can feel the heat of a termite mound. So if you go there, you will even smell the gases they produce. So if you go there and just put your hand in, you are going to feel the heat. It's quite a lot underground. Remember, the termites, one termite mound has got millions of these termites. So one termite mound, you might even find that in terms of the population inside, is even way much bigger than the province itself. So there is quite a lot. If you want to see that, come during the rainy season when they are releasing the reproductives. You are going to count a number of reproductive is quite a lot. So I don't think the statistics there is going to be very low on every termite mound. Statistics is always very high by the termite mounds. So you can easily feel the heat, and you can also pick up some of the gases. So the termites, they don't want a lot of exposure. If you open it, sometimes, apart from the other predators coming to eat them, they don't like to be exposed to the sun. And they don't want to be exposed to this outside environment, the wind which is blowing now. So for now, let's cross over back to Steve and hear updates on his wild dog search.
The wild dogs seem to have gone south, away from the boundary into Little Gowrie, I believe. But we've now found ourselves a herd of elephants. As Trish was saying, there are tracks and dung everywhere. The Ellies have been playing on the road, digging up everywhere. There's actually some boys just on your left here, David, that are having some fun. You just go back a bit. There we go. Those two boys are pushing and shoving each other. The elephants have found every single exposed soil area on the road and have been rolling and digging and scratching, and elephants absolutely love it when it's raining. But the one animal that seems genuinely happy when the rain is falling. Two young bulls here learning the little art of pushing and shoving. It will be so important one day when they want to compete. They're still quite young, no? Less than 20. There we go. Now, those aren't very big elephants, but I tell you, they are still far more powerful than anything else you could imagine. Probably two 18-year-old boys. See how he's just gone submissive there? He turned his shoulder. Do you see that? That is submissive behavior in elephants. Beautiful. Two young boys there. The rest of the herd is starting to file out in front of us. See, that's typical behavior of an elephant when it's submissive. It turns its shoulder. It's something that elephants will do when a big elephant or another elephant comes into scene that they're submissive to. They'll just turn around and kind of watch them from their side, and that's an indication that they're not confronting. Obviously, an elephant that wants to compete with another elephant stands up tall, big and strong, big ears out. But elephants, like humans, there's an enormous amount of body language in their behavior. And this is so cool. I've been looking for Ellies. They've been around. Their tracks and signs are everywhere. Oh, Davy, there's a little baby here on the right. Sorry about my head. Hello, little one. Well, that is the best way to start a morning. Baby elephants. Get a little bit of a push out of the way. You can spend hours with elephants. They're always doing something. Probably the two best animals out here to spend time with are baboons and elephants, because there's always something going on. I mean, obviously there's nothing nicer than spending time with a leopard or lion cubs when they're playing, but that's when they're playing. Generally there's a lot of sleeping going on. These elephants, oh, she just shook her head. She said, don't come any closer to me and my baby. Well, you can see the baby's relaxed. They're coming right towards us. Look at this. Lauren, that's a good question. Ooh, there we go. You want to know if a female elephant gets sad when their sons leave? I mean, it's possible. You know, what happens is the sons will follow for a period of time, but the reason the sons leave is because, like this individual here that's pushing this female, that's a young bull that's going to get pushed away because he's starting to get a little bit too pushy and shovey, and he's going to start testing the urine and smelling the ladies, and, well, he's probably related to the herd, so it's a bit cheeky. I mean, any good mother would be like, okay, son, you go off and you go do your thing. He's going to follow the herd for months, even a year afterwards, but not really going to be allowed inside the herd because, well, he's showing sexual interest in sisters and daughters. See how he's turned his head. Look at this big female. She's not happy with him. Watch what's happening here. He's trying to get closer to her, but she's not happy with his approach. And the big elephant on the left, being the biggest, she seems to be the matriarch. So I don't think they get sad. I think it's a necessary time. You know, they're like, okay, we know that you're a bull now, but it's time for you to move off. But most certainly they still know each other. And you see amazing reunions between elephants that haven't seen each other for some time. They can smell each other, they know who each other are, and after years they'll catch up with each other. They'll catch up with each other, touching and feeling and getting to smell each other again, and even at the sight of a carcass they will visit each other. Janet, you want to know how old that baby is? That baby is over a year, so it's between a year and 2 years at the moment. It's just above mum's belly, so probably closer to 2 years. It's a general sign when the baby's right under mum and doesn't touch her, that it's within its first 6 months, and then as it's able to touch the body, then you can estimate that it's about a year or so. So it's about between a year and 2 years now. Is still not able to use that trunk. The trunk is just a lifeless little object that is hanging off the front of its nose. Oh, here comes a big cousin. You see how the baby's standing up tall with its ears out? It was showing that it was brave, not showing submissive behavior I was discussing before. When they turn their shoulder, they stand up tall and show how big they are. But still trying to use that trunk. That baby for the first 2 years is suckling from mum, so the trunk is not that important, but it takes those 2 years to get a handle on how to use those 100,000 muscles in the trunk. bearing in mind there's muscles that turn the trunk left, muscles that turn the trunk right, muscles that lift it up in front of it, and muscles that curl it up underneath. So all of those muscles running along the side of the trunk are enormous and require an extended period of time to make them work. This is so wonderful. Okay, so on the right here, this female with another male here, Darby. Sorry about the poll. Mina Moo, elephants can actually smell water. I do apologize about the poll. See that female, she's not very happy with the boy who's coming up behind. She's actually kicking at him. I'm just going to roll back slightly. No, I don't want to start the car right now, folks, because we are in the middle of this herd. But she's showing submissive behavior towards that big bull, but I don't think she wants him in the herd. I wonder if you can hear them moving. I'm just going to turn Darby so we can get those boys there. There we go. We managed to roll without starting the car. Okay, so those boys are all causing trouble with each other back there. They're all being very playful, and it's going to cause this herd to move off. They don't really like hanging around very boisterous males, and they just have the potential to get squashed. There you can see, just Darby, this male is going to show a little bit of, oh, look at the youngster in the road. See these two males, how they test their trunks, and they put their trunks in each other's mouths, and they can smell that way. There's an organ of Jacobson in the roof of the mouth of elephants. So when you see elephants that haven't been together for a long time, they'll walk up to each other and smell each other and stick that trunk into each other's mouth, blowing a stream of hot air. And through that, they obviously be able to smell all sorts of things, where the animal's been, how many marulas they've been feeding on, and all those sorts of things. We've got a very feisty little young elephant here with a bit of a wart on his nose. We've seen him before. Wow, Vicky, that's a really good question. I mean, elephant cow can start breeding at as early as 9, between 9 and 12, and they'll have a calf every 4 years. So you do the math, really. The females can be breeding up until their 50s, even early 60s. Maybe they don't get to the 60s, but definitely in the 50s. So my math right now is not great, but quite a few. If you think about it, every 4 years they can have a youngster. So many children in their lifetime. So it's almost a 2-year gestation period. And then they generally have about maybe a 2.5 year period between the next offspring, and then they will constantly be breeding. That's one of the reasons why having elephants on small reserves is very interesting and very debatable, because on a small reserve they want to control the elephant population, and by doing so they have to do sort of hello, this little guy is giving us all sorts of evil stares from behind here. And now Mum's going to step in, is she? I have no idea, Murray, what could have caused that on his nose. We saw him a while ago, and it was an open wound then. It looked quite painful. We're not quite sure what happened. But that's why... Oh, let's look at these boys here, Darby. They're going to come and give us all sorts of fun. So... by controlling elephant populations in small reserves, they need to dart them so as the females don't have kids. It's almost a sterilizing sort of agent, and they reckon that has enormous effects on the female's personality, because they're so used to having youngsters around that when you give them sterilizing agents for years, they don't have youngsters, and so they don't really know where to put that sort of emotional energy. So it is something that is still being studied, about the ability to control elephant population growth through darting. In large populations, it's impossible, because you have to dart that animal every single year. And when you've got 20,000 elephants, it's very hard to keep track of who and what. Well, while these elephants do a little bit of pushing and shoving, one more moment to see the power. Look at this power. They're young boys. These guys are about 20 now. Some nice technique being had there. Oh, really getting into it now. It's becoming not so friendly anymore. Anyway, while we continue to watch these elephants showing down, it seems like Trishala, who's been on a tracking mission this morning, has managed to relocate on the Evoca male.
Yes, I do. We've found him. That's all thanks to Trolli. We were driving around where he was yesterday, and I was glad to see he had moved around, so it meant that he wasn't just sitting in one space, sick or unable to move, so that was a good thing. And then we saw some tracks on the ground, and he was right here off the road. So it was just our luck. We were looking for a heartbeat in the bush, and here we found a great big one. This is, of course, the Evoca male with the hole-like injury above his left eye there. And you can see there's a bit of darkness around there. But that at first it did look a bit like it was infected or something, but I don't see much oozing, and I do see that the fur is there. It's just that the dark skin from the underneath has come through a bit. And it's probably because of all the scratching he's been doing on that wound, and been pulling off the finer hairs on his head there. I don't know, he looks a little better to me today. Especially, at least in the face. Oh yes, you throw your handsome mane back. What an absolutely handsome animal. Look at him. He's got his nose in the wind. What can you smell? A tasty impala. Lick your lips, looking for some breakfast. He winked at us. Now, he hasn't moved far from where he was at all, and in a normal... Sinzele asked, what happened to the lion who has the injury? If you're talking about this one, this is the one with the injury. And we're not sure what's happened, but it definitely looks like a puncture wound. Now, if it were sort of a wound from a horn, unless it was really well positioned to create just that puncture, it would normally have kind of tears around it as well, because they're not straight most of the time, so the puncture wound goes in at the end of the horn and then pulls bits of skin on the outside, and this looks fairly round, so it almost suggests to me that it may be a canine. I suppose it could be another lion, but usually fights between lions are much more brutal than a simple puncture wound on the head. Could also be something like a baboon, I suppose, with those huge canines. But we were just saying that the normal behavior for this kind of animal at this time of day, would be to go around scent marking, and then, of course, if he had had a kill, he'd probably be fat and belly rounded, but his belly doesn't look much different to how it did yesterday. Oh, that's an awkward spot to get. But you got there with that rough tongue of his. Shame. He looks tired and like he needs a bit of rest, which is probably what he's been doing for the last couple of days. Just away from his coalition for a little bit, just resting up. At least it's nice and cool for him this morning, that he can actually not have to be panting. Sarah says it doesn't look like he's eaten much at all. I don't think so either. I think he looks much the same as he did yesterday in terms of belly. but his face looks, if I could say, a lot brighter or something. He looks like he's got more life in his face in a way, although he's turned around, of course. But yesterday he looked very down and almost some sort of desperation in his face. But today he looks a little bit brighter. I want to get a good look at his hip area and the bones that were protruding out before. You can see some of his ribs there, which is not great. You can see all the flies. That's what's been bothering him, and he's been scratching and scratching and scratching. And no doubt those flies would have also been all around that wound in his head, and that's why he's been scratching it as well. And that fur has sort of come away. Such a big boy. I really hope that he finds his brothers, or rather his brothers find him soon. I find that a lone animal, especially if they're used to having a social structure and being around other animals of the same kind, when they're by themselves, they get a bit stressed. And when I say stressed, I mean elevated levels of all the chemicals that are coursing through its body. And sometimes that can inhibit healing quite a bit. Being alone, not having eaten in a while, all that causes stress. Well, we found this guy with his tracks, so it just shows you just how useful it is. In the meantime, let's go to Sydney, who's going to show you exactly how to track.
I've got a very nice elephant track here. You can see that this elephant was here before or during the rain, and now that track collected a lot of water, and it's so nice to see that the water which was kept here developed the shape of this elephant foot. So you can see even the direction of movement, that here, this is the back part of the track going around. It's an oval shape to the front, where you can even see the pointing. This is a very good sign of a direction of movement on this elephant, that he was heading towards that side. So this elephant was heading from this side towards that side. So this is the pointing, and this is the back part. So we are now going to where we just picked up an elephant trumpet not a long time ago. They are somewhere much more this side. So the elephants, the females, when they're about 8-9 years, they reach maturity. The males, they reach maturity when they are older than 12.5 years. But some of them start to breed when they are older than 20 years. So you can see that these animals are very big in size, and it takes time before they reach the maturity. The interesting part about the elephant is when the little ones are about 18 years, they become independent. What I like about that number of years is that it's not far away from us, because we also normally become independent when we are older than 18 years. So there is that kind of a similarity when it comes to when we have to be independent. So similar to what is happening by the elephants. So there is a question. Andrea, the elephants, when it comes to the warnings, elephants communicate in various ways. One, they can use ultrasound, such as this is what normally hear. It's what we have heard earlier. And sometimes they will communicate, make use of a rumbling, where you will hear something like. So that kind of a noise, it comes from here. So it's get amplified here by a special pharyngia. There is a pouch here which is normally used to keep water when they are walking for a long distance. So then you will hear that kind of a noise. So that kind of a vibration can travel on the ground for quite a long distance in order to warn each other. So elephants can still communicate with each other on a very long range. So they are well gifted. So there is a question from Senzo here. Senzo is asking me again about the name beige. He's asking what this number is for. I was telling him this is a kind of an identification number which is unique. So it's like a number plate for a car or an ID number. So each one of us as guys has got its own number which is for the database. So it means if you punch in this number, it's when it will reflect that I am part of those who are complying. So I'm sure he's answered Senzo on this one. So the camera operators, the male elephants, if you can check, elephants, they stay in herds. And these herds, they are very much closely related. Yes, they are led by the females as it is a matriarchal social structure. So the males, you will find them in the herds, and when they are 18 years, as I indicated, is when they are going to leave, is when they are going to become independent. But some of these, you will find them together. The herds sometimes split. You might find a big herd, for example, 100 elephants together, at the end can split into groups. You might find 50 together, another 50. It does not mean the elephants, when they're in the herd, will remain in the same herd forever. They are those because of their rankings and positions. So what I like about elephants, it is their matriarchal structure, because that one is same as my family. My family works like the elephants, whereby the females, Womakadzi is the ladies, but the real family, you've got an oldest aunt called Makadzi. Makadzi, she is the one who has got the highest level of authority than everyone else. I come from a royal family headed by the chief, but the chief does not have same power as the oldest aunt. Now, unfortunately, my wife cannot sit on my head. So this is how it works. If you have got a king or a chief or a headman, the king and the chief and the headmen are going to rule the villages or rule the land. But by that family, you will find the oldest aunt. Oldest aunt is a matriarch. So she is the one who gives orders. And if the king or the king or the headman dies, the family has to sit down and check what was on the wish list of the previous king. If she doesn't like to approve the wish list, whoever was chosen by the previous king or the chief is not going to be inaugurated. So she is the only one who will then approve to say, I'm approving. And she will give reasons why. So now, let's go back to Steve.
Thanks, sitters. Well, I hope you managed to find some elephant on foot. They have been everywhere. We left our herd. We went around to see if the matriarchal society of the hyenas were awake, but there's no one in attendance. And then driving along this road, I had to be very careful, as this guy, this little speck-singed tortoise, was sitting in the middle of the road, and now he's trying to make his way out. It's a really good time of year for tortoises. There's lots of moisture around. They do move quite some distance in these days, feeding. There's tortoise tracks absolutely everywhere this time of year. They are around all year round, but you only really see them out and about when it's been raining. being very camouflaged and hidden in the thickets in and around the road, and you see how quickly he just disappeared as he went off the side of the road. It'd be impossible to spot unless you were right on top. Well, I'm not sure if anyone's tried to follow up on the Nkuhuma Pride of last night. We left them very confusingly on the road last night. They were up and down, up and down, up and down. I don't know what was going on. I think the presence of the male lions has been influencing them, and maybe they also wanted their sister, or one of the mothers, Purple Eye, Pretty, to join them again, because she's been sojourned with one of the males right on the boundary with Buffelshoek, and she has not been. This is decision time, Darby, decision time. I think we're going to go that way. No, I'm going to go this way. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. So maybe they wanted her to come back, but they'd walk to the boundary and they'd come back again. They'd walk to the boundary and come back again. Which was the most bizarre thing last night. After you all left us, we stayed with them because we had a rehearsal last night. And, well, the lions were definitely hungry. So maybe they came back onto Djuma to catch something that is around. The male lion that Trish is with was calling, and they were definitely aware of him, but they weren't too. It didn't seem like it was causing them to run away or anything. But they definitely seemed to, yesterday morning, after tracking them for some period of time, trying to get rid of him, trying to shake that male lion away. It's understandable. All he'll do is hurt one of the young males and also steal whatever food he can. Such is the life of a male lion. Okay, well, this is a road called Rebecca's that runs parallel with this drainage system with quarantine on the other side. It is a good road to check for tracks. It will also take us straight up towards where they were last seen on our sort of western sort of section. So just looking for some tracks in the road. No one's driven here. Seems like the Djuma vehicles have gone straight to Torchwood this morning in search of quarantine, the male leopard, which we'll keep our eyes, well, our ears open for. No updates so far with regards to him. You've seen quarantine, Dave?
I have, yeah.
You have? Okay, well, while we continue on here, trying to find some tracks, let's go over to the tracking expert himself, Mr. Corley.
Good morning again. We are still sitting here. We've swapped with Trishala, sitting with a Avoca male. My name is Oli, and still with the camera is BK. So I'd love to sit with this lion for a while, but because he's still static and asleep, so I will be going to check for the pride, which is the Nkuhumas on the western border, because yesterday they were around Triple M, which is the western border of the reserve. So we might be lucky to find something there, because we might get tracks, as we got tracks just like this lion here. We found his tracks, and then we tracked him for, I think, for like 30-40 meters, and then we found him. Because it doesn't look as if he'll be doing much now. And the distance between the place where he was yesterday, it simply means he's not in a good shape. He didn't walk a long distance. So now I'll drive and leave this guy in peace. And if I don't find anything that side, okay, thank you, FC. Steve is also looking for Nkuhumas. So what I'm going to try to do is that I will try and look for a cat, which is a spotted cat, a leopard. I will try to look for tracks, and I will try to listen to the sounds. I'll try to listen to everything that will lead me to a successful tracking. Because this guy, what he's showing us now is just showing us his leg. Nice one. But for me, when we found this guy just lying there, he looked promising that he will be okay soon. Because as Trishala said, his face looked very promising than the rest of the body. So we saw courage in his face. So PK, let's hit the road. Hopefully we'll find the guy still lying here, and it will be easy for us to track and follow him if he changed the spot, because the weather is good and the surface is oh, here he just woke up. PK, let me go forward and give you a nice view there, because he's smelling something in the air there. Buddy. Yeah, this guy is thin, hey? You don't look so good, man. Look at your ribs, look at your... Oh, it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. So he's sorry about that pole there. Oh. Let us get a nice view and see where... How long will this lion hang around in the same area? It really depends. It really depends on whether the lion has eaten, or the lion is injured, or the weather is good for him to move around. Because in a weather like this, they can move vast distances. And remember, this is a male lion, which is territorial. So it needs to mark its territory each and every after the rain, because the rain washes away the scent. So he's moving. Let me see what he's up to. He's moving through the bushes there. So for any questions and comments, you can send them on #SafariLive on Twitter or YouTube chat stream. So what I'll do is I will just park here and see where the way he's heading, because I want to follow him from a closer distance. So let's look at him. He's here, because you can see he's back here. BK can see him. I think he's trying to get a nice cover from these bushes, or he's scent marking. I feel so sad for this guy, because he's so thin. Hopefully he will be okay. Sometimes I just hate seeing animals in this kind of situation or health. And look at the way he's walking. Oh my. As I was telling you, that this guy didn't walk vast distances, so that's why he left the area he was lying at. Now he's here, just a few meters away from the spot he's lying down now. So let's go to Sydney for an update and leave this guy.
Yeah, but it depends on the...
I've got the snails here at the moment, and I can see that it's them looks like that sometimes and sometimes they could be that attached so much close as I don't want to, as this can be very much sensitive, and I am here at the neck, so I can see only the shells. I can't see what exactly is happening by the other side. And I would like to take this opportunity and apologize for the poor signals. This is due to the area where I am at the moment, as the bush is getting very thick and is very much windy at the moment. So at this shell, that it's hard. So the shell helps to protect these animals, and it is rich in calcium. Sometimes it's of calcium. They pull to eat and regenerate the broken parts. So I just want to so now I can see that the signals are not allowing me in order to carry on with the snares, and apologies for that. Hopefully we might find more other snares here on the way. See to breed. So I can hear there's even some of the birds who are calling in the area. It was a great sighting of the snares mating there. So I'm just trying to climb this little hill up just to have the better signals. And apologies for that. I am battling with the signals at the moment here where I am. I can hear the elephants from this side, so we are going to now move much more towards the eastern side. Hopefully we will find the elephants, and elephants maybe might lead us to the dung beetles, as that is the most target for me this morning. So at least I've got something here on the ground. This is the ball. I can see this ball. It was done by the dung beetle. So you can see it's nicely done, but it has got a hole on it. You can see there. So there is nothing inside. So this is what the dung beetles are rolling all the time. And inside here, you find a larva. And the larva is also predated by the honey badger. Honey badger can be able to dig this and get the larva every time. So they can just go and sniff and be able to detect where this kind of dung beetles are hiding their eggs. So we are getting very much camouflage at the moment. We are just following the sound because we hear the elephant trumpeting much more this time. So you can see Hebi is leading me to where the trumpet was coming from. So now let's quickly go back to Steve for some updates.
Welcome back. Thanks, Sydney. Well, the lion tracks, well, they're not in the same place that we left them, and the tracks have all been rained on, so there's nothing fresh. And the rain has been such that it's just washed the ground smooth, like a very clean plate. And so no tracks there. So we've done a loop around the western boundary to see maybe if the Nkuhuma Pride crossed west, but I didn't see anything. I saw one track, but difficult to ascertain the age because it has been rained on. But didn't seem as if a pride had crossed there. So we're going to come back again and have a look at the other couple of roads that are nearby and see maybe if they're still inside. It is a possibility. There's a possibility they decided to spend the evening on Djuma. Maybe lost them somewhere there in the block where they kept going up and down. Elephant activity everywhere. They're all over the place at the moment. I'm hoping after all this rain we're going to get a really nice flush, which will cause the buffalo to hopefully materialize again. We know the Unkuhumas love themselves some buffalo. But it's always quite fun actually tracking after rain, because you get a really good indication of the freshness of tracks, because the mark or the scuff mark is much easier. So this is that road we had tracks of Hukumuri on yesterday, and he came down and we missed him by just a few minutes, we reckon. We heard him calling south of the boundary. So he's definitely moving because of the rain, recent marking. Dave was just wondering where old Tingana is, and he's also going to be around at some stage, scent marking. After the rain, it is imperative for cats to remark their territory so as to keep out any rivals. It was last week or the week before that Hukumuri materialized because the Duke had not demarcated his territory again. So Hukumuri took that as an opportunity to sneak in, and we haven't seen Tingana since. Very interesting. He's been battling his eastern boundaries, northern and eastern boundaries. Difficult life being a male leopard and a male lion by the state of that Avoca male. So I had his tracks right here yesterday, heading south. This is a road we often find him on. It's a road we often have tracks of the Unkuhumas as well. They often cross this little game path here to Triple M, which is the western boundary, which we've already checked. Let's just check along here. What was that? A broken branch. Ryan, Mr. Duke. Tingana is the Duke, indeed. The Duke of Juma. He'll be back. He'll be back. I think he just realizes there's no point. He knew the forecast is going to rain until today. So he's like, I'll wait for the rain to go and then I'll come and rescent mark. Otherwise, just a waste of energy. You know, when you start getting a little bit older, you have to be more clever in your energy usage. Lara Moore, the chameleons are around. They're not the easiest to find in the daytime, but after we finished our rehearsal last night on the way back, Seb and I found a beautiful big chameleon in a bush just next to the road. They actually stand out quite nicely at night. The light reflects off them, becomes easier to see, but in the day you've got to have a really good eye to see them in the daytime. Okay. They love all the insects that are blooming. I mean, it's just a jungle of greenness. You can imagine how many chameleons are hidden in and around. There's plenty of them. And there's plenty snakes as well, searching tirelessly for some chameleon dinner. Boomslangs love chameleons. Okay, so we're reaching the top of the hill now. We've just got to also keep our eyes open. The lions might be just inside the block. This is the block they're moving in and out of yesterday for no apparent sort of reason, up and down. Took us the whole morning to find them yesterday. And after seeing them move last night, now makes sense. They were up and down, up and down. When lions move like that, it becomes very tricky to know where they're going. Sparrow, you want to know about male cats holding territory their whole life? Well, a leopard will only get a territory, same as a male lion, about the age of 4 or 5 years old. And essentially, male lions demarcate prides that fall within a certain area, whereas leopards demarcate a territory which females fall within. And they'll only hold it for as long as they physically can. So from the age of 4 or 5 until 8, 9, 10, 12 maybe, depending on the animal. I mean, Tingana's in his 13th year, but he hasn't been here. Wrong comms there, Murray. So he doesn't hold it his whole life. I mean, Tingana, where was he before here? I mean, 4 years ago he was 9. He's been here for about 4 years. Been here for about 4 years. So where's he been before that? I don't know. So no, they most certainly don't hold the same territory. Leopards, female leopards, will generally stay within the same area that they were born and hold a small territory within that. So yes, you could say that they do. But a male, once he's lost his territory or his strength, his territory just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually then, as what happened with Mvula, he just becomes a nomad, moving through the territories of others, trying to sort of sneak by any territorial holders and still hunt and keep going with regards to food. But a male lion, once he's lost his pride, once he's lost his territory, generally that's the end of him. It's the end of him then. Because then he becomes a nomad, and a male lion that's moving around as a nomad, especially if he's old, has really got no chance. He will get caught and killed. So generally, they fight to the death for that final stand to hold the territory. Okay, well, we're going to continue on. There's absolutely no tracks at the moment, but it does make it very hard after the rain, unless they've been moving now that it's dried up a bit. But Holly is still with the Avoca male.
Yes, I'm still here with this line because moving to be active for a long time, or it will walk maybe for a kilometer or two, but it rested here. It simply means he's not in a good shape. So what I'll do now, I will leave this line in peace and see whether what I'll find. Because it's well camouflaged, I don't have a nice view because of these long grasses. And you can see the place we are right now, it's difficult. As you can see, the vegetation is thick. It's relaxing nice and well there. Hopefully in these bushes there might be a baby hiding around. Maybe or might be an adult hiding from the wind or rain. Maybe he'll get himself a meal for the day. So, BK, let's move and see whether we'll find something. I just saw a gymnogen flying above. Will this lion smell mammals? Kill small mammals, this lion. For sure, it will kill small mammals, this lion. You know, lions, will this lion kill small mammals from peanuts? What a nice name there. For sure, this lion will definitely kill anything it will come across, from a small antelope to a medium-sized antelope. And remember, when they are in a state like this, they can also go for birds. They can also go for squirrels. They can go for everything that will accommodate them, because, you know, they have to feed. And then like this Avoca male is thin, and then he won't have that energy to take down a buffalo, you know, or like a full-grown male kudu. So for now, he will be looking for like the daycare, you know, the common daycare. They like hiding in this thicket. Be looking for a baby impala. Be looking for a baby kudu. Who knows? You can find them in here. And I hope and I know for sure he won't be far from the same spot we just left him. So the bush is smelling nice. You know, this natural smell from the soil, from the feces, from the droppings, from the trees. And when I was still a little boy, I used to eat the soil after the rain, but not the top layer. Just have to dig a little bit. So what I'm telling you, when I was still a boy, I used to eat the soil or sand. Just have to dig. Then you get this black looking soil. Then you eat it, but don't eat a lot because you will suffer from constipation. But once you suffer from constipation, we have trees or plants that will heal constipation, like a peanut senna. A peanut senna. I'll show you a peanut senna. I saw one around the place. I eat the soil because it tastes nice. It tastes very nice. The soil in a weather like this, and if it's wet like this, it feels so nice. You have to try that. Or must I show you how to eat one? Let me eat the salt, but not the BK. Just have to dig a little bit. Oh, my earpiece is too long. So I have to dig just a little bit. Yes, it's here. Yeah, you eat it. Small portion of it. Eat it. It tastes really nice. You have to swallow it. And that's why I said you don't have to eat a lot because you'll suffer from constipation. Big stone, huh? Yeah, let's move forward. I don't know how it tastes like, but it tastes like soil that is wet. And you know the... Okay, let's go to Sydney while I'm rinsing my mouth.
There's very big elephant dungs here at the moment, but they are not that very warm. They are very much cold. So I can see that it's not something that happened now. I just want to sniff. Yeah, because of the rain, the scent is not that strong. It's not as usual. So the elephant droppings, they have got a very strong scent. So now I want to tell you something. If you come and take these droppings and mix them with water, you can use a bucket or a dish, and then you can bath. This is going to clean you and is going to chase away all the evil, if there is any evil spirits that has been sent to you. So traditionally, a lot of African tribes, they believe that the elephant dungs can be able to chase away the evil spirit. So if you take that and bring it here. So here, not very far, there is a dam. Oh, this is deep. So this is created by the elephant. I'm sure this elephant was here, maybe also doing something. So by the next rainy season, I'm sure this is going to be broadened and is going to be very much deeper than it is. You can see that in the middle, it means maybe my stick can disappear because now it's up to here. So this is now getting very big. So the warthogs must be careful, otherwise they are going to drown there. Because warthogs, they also like to come here and do the mud wallowing. So animals don't mind drinking water from here, and drinking water from these kind of potholes, they can also pick up some of the internal parasites such as the tapeworms, because tapeworms can go and wait until the host comes there. Paula, there is different fruits that we use to make beer here in South Africa. One is also called a palm beer. A palm beer is where there's a palm tree. We come to the bottom of the stem of the palm tree and we drill it, and then we just put a bucket where there is a hole. You will see the water dripping. That water which is dripping there is the one that is going to be drunk, and is a very, very good beer, and you will get drunk, I can promise you. It's called a palm beer. So that one and the marulas, those ones are very strong. But I think the palm beer is much stronger than the amarula beer. That one comes from the stem, not from the fruit. So unfortunately here by this area I haven't seen any of those palm trees which can be used in order to make that kind of a beer. Sydney is one of them. So I come from Venda, as I indicated, and it's you all know. That kind of an instruction is what we are doing. But not only us, including the Shangans and the Zulus, and maybe Toli as well must be doing the same. I'm not too sure. You must also ask Toli when we go to Toli and hear what he's doing, because those kind of droppings, we use them to bath and other things as well. So Senzo is agreeing that also the Zulus, they are doing it. I can see him nodding the head. But it does smell very bad, but are we used to that kind of a smell? Because it's something that we have been doing. It's not something that I've done once. It's something that I've been doing. Oh, here comes Steve on a game drive. Morning. How is it, guys? Hi, sharp. Well.
Good morning.
Yes. Any updates that side?
Gonna go find a leopard.
Is it? We heard some elephants this side.
We didn't see it. We're going to go see a leopard. We're going to go see a leopard. We're going to go see a leopard.
Okay, thank you. All the best. So they are rushing, going to see a leopard. So maybe they know where it is, because I can see that they are so very confident. So now, let's quickly go to the leopard Steve.
Yes. Well, haven't seen Sydney in ages. There he was, in the flesh. Nice to have Sidders back, isn't it, folks? Well, we've got a report of a leopard. We're headed there now. Who could be? SafariLive. It is on Twin Dams Road with the junction of Battalier. I don't know myself. They haven't told me. So who could it be? Send through your one-word answer to #SafariLive. Let us know what leopard you think it might be. And, well, if any of you put Osana, well, that is awesome thinking. I love it to be Osana, but I think I would have been told on the radio it was Osana by now. So don't put down Osana unless you want to, just for old time's sake. But who could it be? Could it be Tingana? Could it be Tandi? Could it be Tlalamba? Could it be Hokomori? The one who strikes fear in the heart of everybody. I have no idea, folks. So send through your answers there. What do you think? Who do you think we are going to be finding in the next few moments? Okay, so we're coming up to some of you. Paula, you say Tandi. Laura Moore, you are holding strong. You think Osana. Well, I would love it to be Osana. I really would. Okay, are you ready for the big reveal, everybody? Are you ready for the big reveal? 3, 2, 2, 2, 2. She's in the thickets here. It's just inside this bush, folks. So there are a couple other vehicles here. We're just going to try and find ourselves a nice position for you. Who could it be? Wow, how anybody spotted that? Everyone thinks the princess. Well, I can't see. I just saw a little bit of a head. Don't worry, folks, we've got time. We'll be able to reposition in a moment. Darby, I'm just going to stop there. We're going to just look at the spots for a moment. There is a leopard there. Now, I bet you many of you viewers out there who are experts at the spot patterns of our leopards can't identify that. We'll just wait a moment for a little bit of space, and then we'll be able to get a better view. Not the best sighting, but don't worry, everybody. We will reposition shortly. All we can see is an ear. So everybody, hashtag SafariLive if you know whose ear that is. Can't even see a good sort of size. The jeopardy is just amazing. Colbert, you reckon it's Tingana? I don't know, the fur looks a little bit younger to me than Tingana's fur. But I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you. Ivan, you reckon it could be Tundi? I've got a feeling it could be Tundi as well. But, I'm afraid. Michelle, you reckon it's definitely Tundi's ear? Well, I know some of you viewers out there have got a very intricate knowledge of all the little bits and pieces of these cats. And I must be honest, the other day when I saw Tlalamba for the first time, her back of her ears looked very much like Tundi's one ear. And I thought, whoa, is that not Tundi? And it definitely was not. But it could very well be the mistress, the queen, who we have not seen in seemingly ages. I don't know how better to position for you now, Darby. There's two other vehicles in the sighting, and they've got the prime spot. We're just going to wait a few moments, folks. I hope you don't mind. A few more moments to build anticipation of who this might be. Oh, there we go. We're getting a little bit of a face. Okay, well, the vehicle's moving out. You probably didn't hear it because it's an electric vehicle. Just going to reposition now for the big reveal. Are you ready? Are you ready? 3, 2. Oh, this is crazy. I've had a dream. I dreamt, are you happy, Darby? I had a dream about this, and that, to me, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm not mistaken, is definitely Tingana. Pixie, it's not good Java. That, to me, looks like Tingana. Oops, Tingana. Yes, Aubrey's agreeing with me. Welcome back, Tingy. Well, we've been wondering where he's been. You were all asking questions earlier about where he's been, and, well, there he is. I find it very strange because I dreamt this. Exactly what has just happened. The way I've positioned, the way we're trying to reveal. That's very weird how I've dreamt that. But anyway, life is a very strange one. So, everybody, the Indigo Girl, the Duke, is back indeed. Now, everybody, I was telling you that Tingana knows the TV show. Our final TV show for the season is on this evening. And, well, as you all know, Tingana can't resist being part and parcel of that. He has been a superstar from the beginning. And, well, of course, he would materialize right at the end. Of course he will. It is his dukedom. He needs to be the host for the show. Of course, it is his Juma. He runs the place. But if only we could find out what's been going on with him and quarantine and what else he's been up to in the north. He's looking quite lazy, so he's been moving quite a long distance. Karen, it's not strange at all, no. He is here. He is, honestly, folks, he's in the heart of Juma right now, right in the very centre where we stand. In Twin Dams Road here. Chelapan is a few hundred metres north of us. Twin Dams Road is about 500-600 metres south of us. So he's pretty much right where he needs to be. So very, very good. Welcome back, Tinganana Banana Face. It's so nice to have you back in Juma. Very flat though. No doubt he's going to do something for us soon. Ravinda, the update, there was no update about an actual fight, but it was that posturing that leopards do and what James went into detail about a urine off, where they will urinate and spray and scratch and basically walk sideways for each other. Leopards basically, generally male leopards that have established territories will basically demarcate that territory next to each other. So walking parallel next to each other along a road, scent marking, scraping, calling, without giving each other any eye contact, because eye contact will lead to confrontation, and they establish their territories that way. And when they are in a sighting together like that, then it can often sound very, very ominous and sound as if something is really going to go down. But it generally, for the most part, it just sounds more than it really is. But if they do confront each other, it is quite a serious affair, and there is always the potential for one of them to kill each other. But I think it's all about posturing. Elephants shouting behind us. Hello, Be Truthful. I'm not 100% sure where Hosanna is at the moment. Last I heard he was in Elephant Plains, which is between here and Londolozi, so quite a few kilometres away. In Tingana, well, he's in the heart of Juma, so I don't really know exactly how far away Hosanna is. We should have put a GPS pin on him before we left, given him something to eat. He could have ingested it and we could have followed him. But I don't know what the recent update is. I know some of our viewers are following him all the time. Maybe they can inform us of exactly where he is, and then we can establish the distance from where that is to here. I do have I'll find my map for you. Taylor sent me a nice map of the Sabi Sands and where he was last seen. Let me see if I can find it for you. Sanzele, he would have to fight or demarcate his territory against whoever comes up against him. Shanzele male, quarantine, whoever it might be. Hello, boy. There we go. Just in time. Well, we'll hold off on the map for now. Some elephants are making their way here. I can hear them calling. Well, he's looking fine. It doesn't look like he's got any fresh scratches. But as I said before, the leopards don't necessarily fight. It's all about territory. It's all about calling. It's all about calling the other one's bluff. And if they do fight, well, it can be very, very, very cumbersome for them and lead to their death. So they do try and avoid it if at all possible. But if an interloper does move in and try and claim a territory for himself, there can quite sometimes be repercussions, but there seems to be sort of an understanding between leopards. Once there is a territory, once there's a fresh scent mark, they generally don't try and cross that. If they do, they're very quiet and careful about it. Tingane wants to eat some grass so as to regurgitate. There's a very, very quick way to cause him to cough up any fur ball that he might have. Okay, well, we're going to stay with Tingana, see what he gets up to, but in the meantime, let's go back over to Oli, who is doing something with elephant dung.
I just found something interesting while I was driving, and this thing is on my right-hand side there. I suspected that it's this is called a mushroom. Yes, pink one. But the common name, I think, it is a cracked mottle gill. If I may be wrong, I may be right. If you know this thing here, it grows in a dung. And it looks very old. Trishala said it's her first time seeing this one, this big. So the gills are underneath there. So I just don't want to touch it because, you know, some of the mushrooms are poisonous. And then they are so fragile. If you touch it, maybe it will break. So we can see it grows just in the dung. That's quite amazing, hey? And talking about the elephant dung, yes, Sydney, you are right, Sydney, you are right, Sydney. We also use the elephant dung to bath, but not just bath. We have to go under a certain ceremony or ritual. Before that, you have to just collect the dung, then you mix it with water. Then you store it for a day or two. Then you apply the paste on your body. So the mushrooms, these mushrooms, I'm not quite sure which animals feed on these mushrooms, but there are these mushrooms, I forgot their name. We eat them. They are big like this big, and they are white in color. Sometimes they get to be like dull to yellowish. You find them around the bushes at home there, and then you have to just hide them with stones, pack stones around it, and then a few days or a week time you go back there and go and harvest that thing. I'm not doing it anymore because, you know, there's lots of habitat, and you hardly see those things there at my place, because the young boys who are around 8 to 15, they go to the bush and they invade the area, and they will get each and every mushroom they can find there. So that mushroom was pretty, very pretty, colorful. Uncle Steve is so lucky to find Tingana. It's been a while not finding Tingana. There's a bird calling here. I just want to see it, and then if I will give it to you. So while I'm searching for this bird, let's go to Uncle Steve with Tingana.
Welcome back, everybody. He is up and he is scent marking, and he's trying to avoid the mud in the road. It's like, what have these elephants done? They've been digging and scratching and making all sorts of a mess. He's scent marked once. Here he's about to come around the bush there. Just trying to navigate a little bit of a dry patch, I suppose. A little bit of a watering hole here. He might have a drink. No signs of injury on him that I can see. Penny Pine, that's a good question. Obviously, leopards do get followed here quite a lot, and we just need to be sort of aware of it. After dark, when they're trying to hunt, there's possibly some sort of disturbance that happens by following a leopard after dark, but you know, you need to be very sensitive Give them lots of space. If there's any animals in the area and they are hunting, it's best to switch off and to just completely give them free right of passage. It doesn't show any sign of annoyance, the old Duke. He's been around for a long time and has been followed for a very long time as well. And he's just moving behind that vehicle. Where is he going to go to? He's probably going to head towards, well, the route he's taking out, towards Treehouse sort of dam. If he kept going down, that would be twin dams. Ivy, Tingana's always hungry. He's the hungriest leopard I've ever met. A very hungry cat. We're going to go through this block now. He is always hungry, the Duke. Even if he doesn't look hungry, he's always hungry and he'll always have a snack. He's now trying to investigate what's been going on his dukedom while he's been away. First, he's going to do a bit of a claw scratching, just here on the left. You're going to smell all the smells around. The smells have washed the slate clean, so you're going to be investigating and finding if there's been anything new that's come about. And Jonathan, that's a very good question. We did have a poll the other day about how long Tingana, most people think he'll still be around, and everyone seems to think he's got another year in him, which will make him 14, which is a very old age for a leopard to be holding a territory, a male specifically. So, very good question. Very, very good question. We don't know. You know, I don't know. I think last year everybody thought he was on his way out due to his injury, but he seems to have bounced back from that. No problem at all. And Cat, he does. He's in great condition at the moment. He's in great condition. And, well, it's really special to be able to follow him. And Dave was asking me this morning as well, where is Tingy? And, well, as I was discussing, he was waiting for the rain to stop. He was waiting for Sunday for the rain to stop because he's also got that sort of the meteorological app, which indicates all the weather. And he knew, it's going to be raining until Sunday. No point in sort of moving around on my territory until it's actually my urine is going to stick. No point. Bobby, the rain washes it away almost immediately. Almost immediately. It's basically just moist. It's just urine on a branch, you know. So it doesn't stay very long. It lasts 2 weeks without rain. So it will dissipate on its own. But the moisture that comes about from the rainfall, and we've had quite a lot of it, will just push away or wash away any scent marking that has been laid down. And it settles the dust, it settles the air, it removes all the tracks from the ground. There he's moving through. So we'll see how many times he scent marks. He might also try and conserve some of it, seeing as, you know, it might still be some rain coming. Well, there's another couple of vehicles in the sighting. We're just going to let them move forward a bit so they can obviously get a view of him as well. But for now, he's going to be cutting through. I'm going to go around. Morning. I'm going to go around. They're going to stay with him. Let them follow him through here. We'll come around onto the other road, and in the meantime, it seems like Polly has got a dead bird on a tree.
Look what we have found while we were driving around. We found ourselves a brown snake eagle. This is one of the beautiful birds we can find in the reserve, but it's sometimes difficult to spot one. You easily identify it with its big head. and the yellowish toes, legs, and it's wearing a short trouser there. You can see this one, it falls under false eagle, I can say, they call it that way. If the feathers, they don't run to the toes, then it's supposed to be called a false eagle. You can see the bright yellow eyes. That's easily identified. Yeah, he looks so serious there. He looks as if it will fly. This one, I'm not sure whether it's a young one or it's an old one. It's so difficult to see because the feathers are like... I think, let me check my phone whether between the old brown snake eagle and the young brown snake eagle. You can see he has a serious face there, looking straight into the camera lens. And the look feels so intimidating. I'm still looking for the eagles. Remember, it feeds on snakes. That's why it's called the brown snake eagle. And those thin legs you can see there, they are so powerful to kill a snake. Remember, it's called a raptor because it uses its claws or its talons to kill its prey. They're also monogamous. Sometimes you find them in pairs. And this one, I think, if he has a partner, she or he has a partner, you won't be far away from the place. They are also territorial, brown snake eagles. Brown snake eagle, yes, I found it. And yeah, the juvenile one, it looks more lighter and then light brown. And then the adult one, it looks very dark. I think this one might be an adult brown snake eagle. You can see the wind is blowing. He's looking around, searching for any opportunity you will get to grab a morning meal. And let's hear their call. I've never heard them calling. Let me play their call and see. Yeah. Yeah, that's the call you can hear there. It's a beautiful call indeed. And eagles, sometimes it's so difficult for me to mimic their calls because they have these chipping-like calls. Sometimes it's difficult for me to do. So let me... Oh, nice scratch there. You can see those talons there. They're so sharp and long and strong. They're made of keratin. And that's the same material that is in our hair, pangolin scales, rhino horn, and our nails. Same material. Just that it comes in different designs and different functions. Bobby, you want to know how big their talons get? I'm looking at this one over here because I want to look into a book. I'm trying to get to how big their talons can get. I think they will be, if we can, a full-grown man, first thumb, I think, like this. I'm not sure whether, maybe like this, big. Yes, maybe including a... Oh, here's a second one. Here's a second one. Here's a second one. Look there. Look there. Oh, look there. Oh. What was that? Was that a juvenile? Because there was an eagle flying around here. Oh. So they have that tail on the sides. So this is what they do normally during the day. They perch, they look around. You saw their eyes are big and they can see very far, and something small moving around these grasses. It's thick, it's difficult to see as human beings, but these birds are so powerful to that point that they can see any snake movement in the grasses here. Oh, let's leave this guy and see whether we'll find the view of another of that other bird that was flying here. BK? Nice one. Oh, here he comes. Oh, that's a gymnochin. Oh, it's an eagle morning today. There's a gymnochin there. Gymnochin is called an African harrier hawk. It's one of my favorite eagles you can find here. Because the way they hunt, they move from tree to tree looking for tree hole nests. So what they do is they just wait outside the entrance of that nest. And what they do is they put in one leg, and then while the other is hanging, and then they search in the nest using their legs and talons, search for any chicks or any bird. And definitely I saw one hunting, and it had a successful hunt. I was with Uncle James, and it was so amazing. It went for a drongo's nest, and it caught something in there. No alarm calls, nothing. Maybe we might see Thandi or Kalamba. Because sometimes these cats, they just show themselves to you. So while I'm driving and looking for these cats and birds, let's go to Sydney with some small insects.
I have got the peel millipede here at the moment, and I can see that this peel millipede is navigating. I can even see the antennae at the moment. It looks like a minibus. So it looks like a minibus if you look at how this peel is walking at the moment. So it was hiding, coiled, and then I waited until it's walking. I think something disturbed it before we got here. So the millipedes, they have got kind of materialistic glands, the glands which are on the side of their bodies, which helps them to secrete very distinctive smell in order to repel the other insects such as the ants, as ants can also give them problems. That's why they've got an ability to coil so that they can be able to protect the underneath fresh parts. Apologies for the grass there. Laura Moore, the peel, it is a different species from the long millipedes that we do see. So this one is how it is. So it is so short, and the older ones, adults, you will find them more or less the same kind of size as the one we are seeing, but much bigger and much fat. So it is a species which is very short in size, not similar to the long ones that we normally see, the large millipedes. So I just want to give you a better view again now. So it's shining. So the millipedes, they spend much of their time cleaning themselves every day. And if you can check the segments, their segments are equipped with some of the cleaning areas where they've got brushes that comes out just to shine these very beautiful bodies. So the millipedes has even been recorded cleaning their gonopods. The gonopods Rosinda, the insects, I am not too sure if they can be able to release gas in order to wander off the birds. But what I can tell you is that the animals, they have got the anti-predatory strategies. And some of the insects, some of them you will see them with the aposematic colorations. The colors that gives a warning signal. So that warning signal tells you that that insect, it can be poisonous. They call them aposematic coloration. So they are there in order to warn you about some poisonous substances. So the insects can be able to repel their predators in different ways. So it's interesting how this peel millipede is walking. You can see it was there, but now it's walking very fast. So the millipedes, they like to eat the decaying stuff. Normally you will see them by the leaves, and they also eat fungus. So they like to eat those very soft material of fungus. So I can see that now is being able to detect the polar. They cannot travel that very much fast because when they're disturbed, they are not equipped in such a way that they've got to run away from danger. For them, in order to outrun danger, they've got to just coil. So these ones are not like the long millipedes. Long millipedes can coil, but they've got an ability to do like this. They've got an ability in order to imitate or mimic the snake movement, whereby they are going to stand and they will see them upside down going like this in order to confuse whoever wants to predate them as if they are snakes. They mimic the snake movement, which is a serpentine movement. So these ones, when you disturb them, they don't really show that kind of a behavior. Instead, they coil. But also the large ones, they also coil. So those are just part of their anti-predatory strategies. They are very much slow moving. Even the large ones, they don't just go very fast. But when they're doing serpentine, it's when they're fast. But walking normally, they don't go fast. So now let's quickly go back to the Duke of Juma, Tingana with Steve.
Indeed, we are with the Duke, who has gone to another termite mound. He's searching, getting a nice elevation to see what's going on. Past the Dacre on our way in here. He hadn't seen it, but those are the sort of things he's looking for. Any sort of movement in the grass, some secretive animals around here. He's on the lookout for food, everybody. This doesn't seem to be on too much of a territorial patrol. You need energy to be able to define a territory. Nourishment to be able to walk a long distance. A classic Tingana Hukumori pose on top of a termite mound. Love the wild. Do you want to know how far a leopard can travel? And males generally travel further than females. I couldn't tell you exactly the distance, but I mean anywhere between 15 and 20 kilometers they could go if they wanted to, on territorial sort of demarcation routes. But if they're hunting, they can go shorter distance. It depends on how hungry they are and if they manage to catch themselves some food. If they catch food, well, then they won't be going too far at all. Well, he's moving off behind the vehicle there, so we're going to move again. Going to keep up with him. He's going to pop out at that very nice drainage line that is very hard to access, the one where he killed a warthog a while ago. And it's also sort of heading towards Treehouse Dam area. Maybe he will get there. Samu, that's a good question. I didn't know leopards' whiskers were bigger than lions. I didn't know that. Maybe they are. Maybe they just look a little bit bigger because of the contrasting white against the body. I've never actually noticed the length of lions' whiskers, but whiskers have a huge amount of sensory function. They tell a leopard all sorts of things, the space it's moving through. They pick up all sorts of things in the environment that we can't really even guess at. So we basically just have to, you know, we can only guess that, you know, they're picking up cues in the air, space, sides, the movement of grass, the wind. Really don't know. But if they are indeed longer than lions, the reason for that is very hard for me to explain. I'm not sure, Samu, age 11. But he's definitely on the lookout for something to snack. Time for a little bit of a groom as well. And off he goes. Okay, well, we're going to keep up with him. Hopefully. Ow! Hopefully it doesn't get too thick here. It will get quite thick here. Deborah, you want to know why there's a thing hanging from his neck? That's called his dewlap. That is something you find characteristically in male leopards. Got to punch through some of this black monkey orange here. There's definitely some bush clearing required in this little block. Hold on, Darby. The dewlap works in a certain way. It indicates the male leopard's size and sort of dominance. It's something that females don't develop, only males. And if you see a male leopard and you're a smaller male leopard, you'll generally think, you'll think twice about it, because it makes his neck and whole shoulder area and head look far bigger than it is. So it adds some form of intimidation to the size. So we're going to just follow him a little bit more here. Last 2 minutes of the show, as he starts to scent mark once again. He's just here on the left in the road. He's going to pull up on the side. We're going to do what we call leapfrogging in the world of game drives, where we're going to just move over onto the left and let the other vehicles to have a go as well. Here he goes, the Duke of Djuma. Just going to have another vehicle in the sighting. There's Rexon, the other Djuma guide. Is the other vehicle coming? No, it's just the two of us. We'll get one more view before the end of the show. Tingana, where will you be later? Who knows? There, we'll be able to view him from there, Darby, as he just meanders slowly down the road. The dewlap you can see under the neck makes it quite easy to identify a male versus female leopard. The size is quite obvious. And he is on the search. Look how his tail is motionless. A little bit of a flick to it. A little bit of a intensity. It's almost like he's thinking, what to do, what to do. Am I going to go in there and catch myself another warthog? It's very windy. Ideas are perfect. Anyway, everybody, have a beautiful, beautiful day. It has been wonderful sharing moments with you once again this morning. We'll be live again this afternoon. Thank you for your questions and comments, and we hope to see you again later. And have a beautiful, beautiful day. From the Duke of Djuma and ourselves, we'll see you then. Goodbye.